You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't going to be that fun.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Doug Collins here. Got some big news this week. You will want to make sure that you hit the subscribe, make sure that you're with us for the rest of this week. We're going to have some changes coming up on the Doug Collins podcast. Probably a new venue, some new way to look at it. So just be prepared. I wanted to keep you updated. I know many people are asking about it with the election season going, with everything else that has been happening. Just some changes coming, good changes, nothing hopefully too bad, but we've got maybe some revamp the way we're going to be looking at things here for the Doug Collins podcast, and I appreciate all of you so much. But be prepared this week. I'll be announcing some of those changes as we get closer to Friday's Finest with Chip and James on Friday. So as we get ready to go, please, take a listen, know what we're doing, and I look forward to still seeing you and talking to you through the Doug Collins podcast. So as we got a lot of things going on, let's just work together, and we'll stay together as we go through this change. Looking forward to the future, but some things will be changing on how we're going about it. Just a minute, I want to hit some headlines for the day on a Monday. As we go into this week with the vice presidential debate, we still have hurricane issues, a lot going on. So we're going to get you a good up-to-date here for Monday, and right after our commercial break, we'll be right back. You might have heard Mike Lindell and MyPillow no longer have the support of the box stores or the shopping channels as the way they used to. They've been part of the cancel culture, so they want to pass the savings directly on to you by having a $25 extravaganza. When Mike started MyPillow, it was just one product company. With the help of his dedicated employees, they now have hundreds of products. Some of you may not even know about that. So to get the word out, I want to invite my listeners to check out the $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-pillow use MyPillows are just $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. There's 6-pack of towel sets, $25. Brand new 4-pack dish towels. You guessed it, just $25. And for the first time ever, the MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, just $25. All orders over $75 will see free shipping too. This amazing offer won't last long, so go to mypillow.com and use the promo code Collins, that's COLLINS, or call 800-986-3994 today. That's promo code Collins. Hey, inflation's at a 40-year high. The stock market looks more uncertain than ever. The new central bank digital currency is on its way and could be the government's ultimate surveillance tool against Americans. It looks like the government is playing games with your savings and retirement. So what are you going to do to help protect yourself? Did you know that you can have physical gold and silver into your IRA or 401k with zero tax or penalties? Millions of Americans are doing this right now for protection, and you should think about it too. A company I trust and recommend is Preserve Gold. They will go all over your options and make sure the process of acquiring precious metals is simple and easy. So if you're looking to help protect your retirement with a trustworthy company, request your free investment guide from the experts at Preserve Gold. Preserve Gold is accredited by the Better Business Bureau, and they have hundreds of 5-star reviews, so you know that you're in good hands. Just text Collins, COLLINS, to 50505. As an exclusive offer for my listeners, they'll get up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualifying purchase on a retirement account rollover. So don't wait. Text Collins to 50505 today and get your free gold and silver investment guide and take the first step. Again, text Collins to 50505 to get your free guide from the good people at Preserve Gold. All right, back here on the podcast. A lot of things going on this weekend, and we've been out for a little bit. We've been traveling, has a lot of things going on over the last week, so I just wanted to, let's just catch back up. Let's get our breath. Last week, we were going through a hurricane. We came through Georgia, came through Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and destruction everywhere. I mean, it is sort of amazing how much, and down in Perry, Florida, Big Bend area, coming up through southeast Georgia, up through the east coast, east side of Georgia, into south northern up highlands of South Carolina into North Carolina and North Georgia. This was a massive event. And I want to start off the podcast today, by emphasizing this, because we're not seeing the national media cover this story in a way that you would expect. And especially the stuff, look, Florida, I'll admit, we get used to seeing, unfortunately, the destruction in the beach areas in the around the Florida area when these things happen around the Gulf Coast, Texas, and others. We're used to seeing it. Don't need to be used to seeing it, but we are, and it just happens. So we don't get desensitized to what happened. South Georgia. I mean, the Weather Channel today even was talking about, they mentioned Valdosta, but they didn't mention all the crop damage, all the timber damage. And again, it's not as populated area of Georgia, but there are still people in hospitals. I know one, Jeff Davis Hospital, had 25 bed space. They had 50 patients, and they were running out of food, or running out of water, the power. They didn't have it. So they had a generator running everything else. So a lot happening in these rural areas. But then you get to North Carolina, and the pictures that you're seeing do not paint the true picture. I have my district that I served in Congress and where I live borders North Carolina, in that western North Carolina area, up toward Asheville, down toward Murphy, Franklin, Cherokee, all that area up in there. And I've traveled that area a great deal. In fact, I've been up there in the last year. Many of you who listen to the podcast know that I've been up there speaking a great deal in the last few years. Right now, we're sitting here on Monday. This came through Friday, Saturday. They're still looking at water levels 10 feet high or more in some of these areas of Asheville. We're looking at it in the mountain towns, Chimney Rock, all these others. It's just been wiped away. There's a picture going around on the internet right now showing this, what looks like a field. If some people don't know it, with trees and logs and everything, and that's a lake. That's actually a lake. It's not again, trying to describe, the devastation is just impossible. Please be aware of what's going on. And also, it's time for the president and vice president to act like president and vice president. It's amazing to me that we've rarely heard anything from them about, very little about what's going on. And these folks are in need now. They're in need of getting help, getting assistance, getting food, getting water. Many of these are very rural communities. So the electricity goes out, they lose their well. So a lot of them are on wells. A lot of them in cities, if they lose their electricity, the mass areas of the city, they lose their water, they lose their access to power. Generator access may be limited. Food access. You're talking several hundred roads that have been wiped out in this time. And if you can't get around, and if the roads can't get around, and if you can't get around on to help in, then you can't get equipment there. And many of these places are very rural. It's not a place that you can just land airplanes or land anything else in. Helicopters are going to have to be used. I-40 going in out of North Carolina into Tennessee, half the road literally fell into the river. Now think about that for a second as we process what's going on here and all over. So I don't understand why the federal government has been so lax. I mean, if this had been anywhere else, it seems like in the world there'd have been a massive response. It's not even dominating the headlines on your news aggregators or anywhere else. It's just as if people are forgetting this. Congress approved some more money for FEMA. They're going to have to approve a lot more money in this because it's just not something that they're going to be able to overcome on their own. And that's not just Florida and Georgia, South Carolina, but North Carolina in and of itself, probably mimicking are exceeding the damage totals in Florida, just exorbitantly. So again, I wanted to just mention that. I don't want to get political about it, but I'm very frustrated about the response. Now, the governors in these states are doing, I think, the best they can. I would expect the Georgia Governor Kemp, who's been on top of this, working it, to be releasing more money out of Georgia for that can be helped in our farmers and our other situations down in South Georgia and Southeast Georgia as we go. So again, keep that in your prayers, thoughts. If you can help, please help. Just watch how we can help get these folks back into food, water, and basic shelter, which has just been just wiped away. in many of these areas. So as we look at that, next thing, and this call comes on top of a vice presidential debate for tomorrow night. Walz and Vance in this debate. This is going to be an interesting time, and we've not talked about this a lot because of the dominance of Trump and Harris in the headlines in the previous debates and just going back and forth. But I really believe this is going to be one in which it's going to be probably if it's like I think it's going to be. And I'm trying to preface my words here because people always get, well, we're going to win, they're going to win, it's going to be that. This could be an interesting debate. Vance is very good at these settings. This is an area where he thrives. It's the reason they keep putting him on the Sunday shows and he keeps cleaning the Sunday shows clocks. I mean, they try to pin him down. He has an answer. He's very good at this. He's getting better and better at his stump speeches, but he's very good at the shorter, more debate-focused kind of events. And then this is going to be really for him. Walz, on the other hand, not so much. And it's not Walz's style. In fact, they don't let Walz out. If you notice, they sort of started keeping him away from cameras and away from people a great deal, except small settings here for the last few weeks. And I think that's on purpose because they're not connected. Harris and Walz are not connected. Even I think it was Vice President Harris said the other day that name an example of a gut decision she made, and she said it was Walz. Okay, you made your vice presidential pick on a gut choice? Okay, we'll see how that works out for you. Right now, though, you've got two candidates who have trouble articulating what they're running on. They have trouble articulating outside of basic just falsehoods what the economy looks like, what's the situation on the border look like, and what the American view of this election looks like. They can't do it. So you're going to go into a debate tomorrow night. Now, it has been said that CBS, Norah O'Donnell, and the other lady who's going to be doing the debate are not going to fact check, as ABC decided to enter itself and become like the referees you hope you never see in football games. They decided to enter their opinions into the ABC debate with Harris and Trump. They have said they're not going to do that, but they're going to leave that to the candidates. Now, that'll get interesting. We'll see, how Vance and Walz both handle that. It could be very enlightening. It could be very interesting to see the differences because I think Vance is going to have to answer for previous comments that the press have been hitting him on, everything from things out of his control like Project 2025 to the cat lady comments to other things, and then you're going to have Walz having to answer, hopefully, if not from the moderators, answer from Vance on his response during the 2020 riots, his response to COVID, his response to putting feminine products in elementary school boys' bathrooms. These are the kind of things that he's going to have to answer for. And whether they come from the moderator himself or from Vance, that'll be interesting. Both will be very well schooled. Both I think, will be very well practiced. I think that's probably what they've been doing with Walz after they saw that Harris could actually be taught to give the lines that is now coming back to haunt her, because it is amazing. The 7-word line, "I was raised in a middle-class family," is coming back to be the tagline for the Harris campaign. It's become a meme. It's become a joke. It's become everything that you would not want it to be, has become her answer, because her answer was so bad and so out of context that people are honestly scratching their heads saying, does she really understand anything about what's going on? Because the rest of her comments were so vague. Even the mainstream media is continually hitting. She just did an interview recently in which the MSNBC reporter said she didn't answer any of the questions. Have we become so divided in this country? Are we so, for the most part, R&D, that we cannot accept, or we accept with no contradiction or questions, answers than which you don't answer the question? The interesting thing is Trump tells you what he wants to do. Now, you may not like it, and you may think it's wrong, but you at least know he's going to, start with their energy. He's going to increase energy. He's going to cut taxes. He's going to, try to use tariffs. He's going to use it. Those are all things he said he's going to do. You could no more get a straight answer out of Vice President Harris than anything to figure it out. And the worst part came this past week when she went to the border and basically mimicked the Donald Trump talking points and the Border Patrol talking points about what needs to be done. It was so bad that the Border Patrol Union actually put out tweets refuting what the Vice President said. That's how bad it is. But yet, if you were to watch mainstream media, she's become the smartest, most intelligent person in the world. And yet, like I said, 4 months earlier, the press did not even talk about Vice President Harris because I don't think they ever thought they could get rid of Joe Biden. And again, I think the biggest thing that we can do from a conservative standpoint is we've got to get back to this focus of what we're going to tie everything to the Harris administration. I made this comment before. I'll make it again. If they can get rid of Joe Biden, we can too. So it's the Harris administration, not the Biden-Harris administration. So she's been there, and Joe keeps coming out with these, Joe Biden keeps coming out with these wonderful comments about how she was involved in everything. She did everything. She was a part of everything. Well, then it's time to make her own it. It's not 3.5 years of wasted time for Harris. It's 3.5 years of ownership that will not change on day one. It will get worse on day one because she doesn't know what she's doing to start with. This is the kind of problem we have in this election. And yet there are many in the media who will willingly cover her as if she is a legitimate, thoughtful, answering question candidate, in which she is not. Now, I have noticed a change. It seems a little bit also in the Trump campaign, in that they are now doing rallies, but also doing a lot more question answer town hall setups, which I think are very good in showing President Trump focused on issues, focused on the task at hand, and that is working. Money, I know that they're still making a lot about this, and Vice President Harris, Kamala has raised a lot of money just this past week in Hollywood, but there is coming a tipping point in which the money, it's not where you're not gaining new ground. And I think, having the money is there, and if they're going to spend it, in which they've looked to do to spend it in House races or even Senate races, that's going to be more what you'll see that money being spent for, because at a certain level, you're coming up on 30 days out here. I mean, the money can only be spent in so many places. So we'll see how that plays out as we go. One last thing on this money before we go. I have got to just sit back, and we've got to talk about the Israel war with Hezbollah and Hamas, Houthis, and in essence, Iran. We haven't been on and to talk about the pager episode, the walkie-talkie episode. I mean, this is MacGyver, James Bond kind of stuff that you wouldn't believe. And now they're consistently taking out Hezbollah's leadership. If I was Hamas, I'd be really worried about this, that they're taking out Hezbollah's leadership, which is in direct tie to Iran. Real quick primer, if you've not been following this. Do not believe for 1 second Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis down in Yemen are operating on their own. They're not. Don't buy that this is a Hamas-Israel only conflict or a Hezbollah-Israel conflict. It's not. They're all being funded. They're all being run. They're all being planned. They're all being fortified. They're all being come out of Iran, which is what the Biden administration helped fortify over the last few years by taking the sanctions off, giving them more money, and allowing them to continue this pursuit of the destruction of Israel, which they don't believe has a right to exist. So, all this idea that you're going after, that Israel is taking out these independent factions, they're not. This is a proxy war with Iran, and they have every right to do this. They have been attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked and attacked for 50, 60 years repeatedly. And even before October 7th, which, by the way, we're coming up on 1 year. But even before that, this time last year, they were still Hamas lobbing rockets and mortars into Israel. You had Hezbollah lobbing stuff over the border at Israel. This was a regular, everyday occurrence. And Israel finally said, we've had enough. And they're taking out the terrorist forces. Let's call this what they is. Hezbollah and Hamas are terrorists. They're not governmental organizations. They are terrorists. They are women and children hiding behind terrorists. And that's the way they need to be treated. If they choose to believe that they can do whatever they want to do, they can keep the people of Lebanon and Gaza into their own captives, using international funds to keep those folks under dictatorial style conditions, then, folks, we can't, allow that, condone that, or do anything else with that. That is the issue that we have. So when you deal with terrorist organizations, the best way to deal with them is to cut them to pieces, cut their heads off, and let them die. And these terrorist organizations need to die. The Middle East will find peace when terrorist organizations cease to be funded by Iran and Iran is held in check by the world community. That is the way out of this. And Israel then has no issues that they have to defend themselves on a constant basis. They don't have to worry about those who are then right on their borders, hoping and thinking and trying everything they can to make sure that Israel is wiped off the face of the map. So when you understand this, you get a picture of it. The world is in an interesting place. And again, it is interesting how the Biden administration, again, focuses everything in the world. They hold our allies more accountable than they do our enemies. And I think that's going to be a big issue as we go through the election. So, folks, we're here. It's Monday. A lot going on. Don't want to keep you long today on the Doug Collins podcast. But a reminder, we got a lot of things coming up, a lot of change. Wednesday, be prepared. I'm going to go through the Senate, House races. We're going to take another look at the presidential race. We'll go over the vice presidential debate. And then on Friday, Friday's Finest. And this will be the last week of this current format, so we'll be talking more about that as we go into the future. I appreciate you, and I thank you for everything, and we look forward to seeing you again on